Welcome everyone today to today's webinar. It's a little bit of a topic that's meant to poke at you. Hopefully it got your attention and has you thinking about where you are with your business. And we're hoping today that we'll have both some good information for you that will help you move forward with the business, and also a good discussion about challenges that you may be facing and what to do about it. In today's webinar, what got you here won't get you there. The shift that unlocks real growth. We're going to take on a picture of the challenges that business owners face, give you an opportunity to see if any of it does feel like it's a fit for you, and at the same time, help you to understand that you are not alone, and that in terms of where you are with the business, you're going through what we call normal growing pains. In terms of today's webinar, Dahlia is going to be moderating, and she has a chat window that she'll be managing. We will be taking questions throughout the webinar, so put them in the chat window, and Dahlia will then bring us through those questions at the end of the webinar. In terms of introductions, my name is Andy Gray. I'm president and founder of Strategy Leaders. Strategy Leaders came out of research that was done at Columbia University 30 years ago, working with an American economist and business historian on the question of how to build a successful US-centric 21st century economy using a very powerful engine called All of You, privately held, owner-operated businesses. Massive numbers, but also massive breakdown rates. And what we were looking at is how to help those businesses be smarter, how to help the business owners be more successful, and how to ensure the longevity of the companies that they were running. We've been going to work at that topic out of Columbia and since Columbia for 30 years now. We have processes and we have teams of people who are specialists at working with the owners of privately held companies. And we have experience across hundreds of industries. We work nationwide, north to south, east to west. We specialize in growth, profitability, exit and acquisitions, and we specialize in strategic thinking to solve real-world business problems. So practical application of how do you get out of where you are and get where you want to go. I will tell you, if you have any curiosity or any questions, happy to take a call from you. Please sign up and let us know who you are. We can reach out to you. You can ask for a meeting, and we don't charge for that. We like to get to know people. I am fascinated by the hundreds of ways that business owners go about doing business every day, and I love to hear about your individual stories. So with that in mind, ways that we can help: over on the left, you see more task related. Over on the right, more of the socially related side. So things that we do valuations, we build key performance indicators and work on forecasting and what if modeling to help business owners play out in theory what can happen before they have to live with the outcomes real time. We work on business growth programming using business plans, tactical reporting, definitions and exercises that help business owners get smarter at what they're doing, and then support that with the coaching that needs to happen in order to integrate that business growth programming into their business real time. We do a lot of transition planning and implementation, which then takes into account the stuff you see on the right-hand side. Management team development is something we're involved in every client we work with, starting at the owner and working down through the team. We do a lot of executive coaching. We do work on coaching business owners through either buying or selling businesses. So if they're looking to grow or if they're looking to get ready to exit. That's a specialty of ours, and we have a very high completion rate, almost 100%, and that's very different from the standard completion rate on deals that get started, the standard statistic is 10% of them get over the finish line. We just think that's absolutely abysmal and something that you don't have to experience for yourself. We can get you there. And in terms of next gen training and development, whether it's the existing employees, the family members, or going out and looking for that future development team, bring those people in, we'll help you develop them, and we'll help you figure out who's going to be right for the business and get them into the right seats on the bus. Again, from Dahlia, please put your information in the chat window and we'll be happy to reach out to you. So as we get ready to get started, something I want all of you to keep in mind is that for most business owners, their business is the most potentially, and that's the key word here, potentially valuable and leverageable part of their portfolio. You can do more with a business than you can any other part of most of the portfolios that you hold, including real estate holdings, investment accounts, and other personal holdings. So pay attention to what the business can do, and I hope today helps you get some ideas for how to go about that. And with that in mind, let's talk about the fact that you have built something great. Congratulations. That is something that you should feel extremely proud of. And now that you're here, you want to take a look around, pick your head up, and see what kind of warning signs you may be running into. Here are some common examples. Business owners have found that they get to a certain plateau and business growth has slowed, or they're starting to have to put out a lot more fires, or the quantity of fires just isn't going down. Many business owners will say that as the business grows, they end up working harder than ever. They're not clear about who should be doing what. They have concerns about cash flow, or they wonder if profitability really is doing okay or will do okay in the future. And many business owners will say they've started the business with a good plan, but as they got real time into developing and growing the business, they've lost sight of the big picture and they need to get back to that. They just can't really articulate as well as they had originally where they want to go from here. And that's something that is going to help you a lot. You'll see that throughout the rest of this presentation. So if we go to the next slide, you have hustled your way to success, and congratulations for doing that. Take a breath, take a pat on the back, but know that hustle can only get you so far. If you are running the business the way you did 3 to 5 years ago, you're not alone. Business owners get into grooves. They know what works and they stick with it, but they end up at some point probably hitting limits. We call this Peter principles. Just like individuals run into Peter principles, they know what they know, they don't know what they don't know, and it's what they don't know that gets them into trouble. The same is true for the business. And I will tell you that in every business, the next level requires a different kind of leadership and a different skill set. But while you're thinking about that, keep in mind, the business is not just a thing. It is your life. It's your livelihood. And you want to make sure that as you build it and grow it, you make it work for you, not the other way around. You don't want to be working for the business. You want the business to work for you. And so let's keep on going forward to think about that as we go to the next slide and talk about the stages of development that businesses go through. So in stage 1, from startup through early growth, one of the things that businesses owners will say is, we hope we're making money, and it's really messy. There's customers, cash flow, hustle, instinct, challenges, uncertainty. Delegation is happening, but it's shaky. You got a lot of multitaskers and probably are short on accountability with all of them. People really need you. You're essential to the business, and problems do keep landing on your desk. And there's never enough time, money, or resources to do everything you want to do. While this is a stage that you go through to get the business off the ground, it's not where you want to stay. Now, if you push through that, you probably have gotten to stage 2, which is an established plateau. And this is where the business owner will say, we're doing okay, but I'm exhausted, or I'm tired, or I'm worn out, or I'm frustrated, and I know we could be doing better. So at this stage, the business does look more successful on the outside, but when you get down to it, the business owner will say things like, I feel stuck. I wonder what's going to happen next. I'm not as confident as I want to be. There are some years that are up, some years that are down. It's still a rough ride. Most years you are making money, hopefully, but decisions continue to be reactive and not planned out, or not planned as well as they could be. And you can't quite figure out how you're going to get the business to the next level, even though you're trying to get there. So then you go to stage 3, and this is where the challenges really start to come into play. This is where the business owner says, I finally have space to lead and not just react. And with the right processes, you're starting to convert multitaskers to specialists. There's more money in the bank, but the risks are getting bigger too. So you're not in the land of free sailing yet. It's a different game with different rules to learn as you look at scale and how to acquire or prepare for the exit on your own terms. As you think about this stage, most business owners are starting to put their toe into this stage. They're starting to feel more like this is where they want to be, but they're not there yet. And the reason for that is that transition from stage 2 to stage 3 and then stage 4 is a 180-degree switch. And that does not happen by accident. It happens with a lot of support and a lot of structure. So then once you get to stage 3, don't stop. There's a push to stage 4, which is where the business is fully exit ready. This is where the business owner says, I can step away, the business runs well. Then the business doesn't depend on you. You have free time to pursue what you truly want. This is actually a great creative time in many business owners' lives, where they get to pursue either other business interests or personal interests that they have wanted to get to for a long time, and now they finally have the freedom to be able to do that. At this stage, the business does produce consistent profits, and you are now in a position to turn that into real wealth for yourselves, for the business, for the employees, for the community. And whether you keep it, exit, or hand it down, you now have options and you have real freedom. So this is the ultimate stage to get to. All right, so now if we go to look at the next slide, signs that you have hit a plateau. So I've talked about plateaus as you transition through these stages. Here's some signs to think about. You are the bottleneck, decisions are reactive, your team's maxed out, you recognize that multitasking won't get it done anymore, growth may be happening, but it's chaotic, financial risks are more complex and more stressful, sales and marketing are struggling to feed the beast, or if you've mastered sales and marketing, operations is in a real challenge to keep up at the level of quality, at the level of delivery, at the on-time delivery that you want to promise to your customers. So let's talk about why this happens and what to do about it. The real issue, one of the key issues to keep in mind, is this approach to the business of being reactive versus strategic. This is a leadership question. In the reactive stage, you are still making gut decisions. There may be a hero complex. I like being central. I like being essential. I like that people need me. There's a tolerance for firefighting, and expectations are not as clear as they should be. On the strategic side, there is long view planning. There's team ownership. Teams are brought into the planning and development process and held accountable for delivery using clear metrics and setting up accountabilities that people understand and are willing to live up to. Most business owners, I will tell you, with something like 80 to 90% are stuck in a reactive mode. Every day is a series of whack-a-mole decisions, or every week, and this is where strategy, not hustle, really starts to matter. And so we go to the next slide. Here are 5 shifts that can unlock real growth for you, going from gut decisions to strategic decisions, from you're doing it all to team and specialist ownership, from firefighting to systems that scale, from random growth to focused strategy, and from working in it to leading beyond it. If you can accomplish these 5 things, this is going to serve you and the business and everyone in the business very, very well. Now we're going to talk about each one of these. So go to the next slide. So in terms of getting from gut calls to strategic decision, if you're getting growth based on gut, you're probably finding that it gets messy fast. So we hope that client's going to work. We hope that market's going to work. We hope that product's going to work. And you have to learn how to slow it down. You have to learn how to test, use data and teams to drive decisions. If you don't have enough data, that's a typical problem in the development of a business. It's learning how to capture data and how to be able to use and analyze it over time, and knowing whose responsibility that's going to fall to. Very often business owners try to solve the data gap themselves. They get to it on Saturday afternoon or Sunday night or early Monday morning. That's not enough, and that's not what you need. You need outside perspective. You will find that without a roadmap, every decision does feel urgent. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in this presentation. But the way out of it is to build a plan and use tactics to make it stick. So you know what you have to do, when, and that drives the decision making. And then if you get to the point where you can move with strategic intention, with goals, priorities, long-term alignment, and engagement, that's what's going to move the business forward. So shift number 2 is from doing it all to a team specialist ownership model. So if you're the one that they all lean on, your team feels the bottleneck, they're trying to talk to you about that, your solution is to build process, delegate, verify, hold people accountable. Recognize that real growth happens when leaders lead, but leaders are not necessarily born, they are developed. And you have to teach people to lead and find out who can step up smartly. This morning I was doing a coaching call with a client of ours who is running up against a roadblock with a key employee or historical key employee who they have asked to become a leader, and this individual really lacks the skills to do it. Now, they're putting classes in place for this person. They're asking this person to work with a couple of coaches on this development, and they're hoping that this person will be able to get over the hump. I have another client where they've actually reached the conclusion that the person isn't going to make it, and they're going to have to redesign the job. And then I have a third client where we're working on leadership skills, and we have a team of 4 people who are all thriving under a leadership model. They love the fact that they can make decisions. They love the fact that they're involved in the strategic planning, and they love the fact that the owner trusts them enough to let them lead. So you can get all kinds of different reactions in here. It's up to you how you want to go about it. But I will tell you that if that's something you're not good at, this is something where you want to get help and get it early. When it comes to delegating outcomes, just go back for a second, Dahlia. Make sure that you are delegating outcomes and not just tasks. So holding people accountable comes from telling them, this is what I expect you to get done. If you need help, let me know, but this is yours to own. All right, so let's go to number 3. On number 3, you want to get out of firefighting by building systems that scale. So playing pinch hitter consumes way too much energy. Develop a team that can problem solve strategically. So not only are you asking them to lead, but you're asking them to solve problems. In order to solve those problems strategically, they do need a roadmap. Where are we going? What is the strategy? What are we trying to accomplish here? And you will find that indecision and misdirection can lead to chaos, and you get out of that by building processes within that strategic web, verify results, and evaluate those processes for best outcomes. If you're getting pressure about promotions and raises and finding that that's frustrating because you really don't know if you are doing the right thing, you want to put in place a rules-based review system and an org chart. Show people where they fit in the ladder of development and show them how they can grow and show them how they can make more money by making more money for the company. It's not just, I showed up for work and I should get more money because of that. Make sure that you are putting systems in place and reward results that will pay off with long-term delivery to the company. Okay, next slide. So number 4 is shifting from random growth to focused strategy. And I will tell you, not all growth is good. I talk with business owners all the time, and they are pursuing any growth they can get their hands on. And then they're finding that that's not as profitable as what they expected. It's harder to do. They're working with areas of learning that they haven't mastered. There are all kinds of challenges in there. What you have to do is analyze the product, service, customer segments, and then build a model. What is ideal for us? We do this early on with every client of ours, is to help them get really clear what makes good growth, so that then everybody in the company can align strategically behind that. If you find that you're going through haphazard decision making that's leading to inconsistent results, you have to teach yourself and everybody around you how to say no to things that do not serve the plan. Now that's got a key word in there, plan. That means you do have a plan. This is what we want to accomplish. This is where we're going. And this is how we measure all of our decisions in the context of, does it serve this plan? If you find that you're giving up margin to get growth, recognize that that rarely works. So if I just give them a break on price, I'll get another customer. Be sure that you do understand and drive up your gross margin. When I talk to business owners early on, they're very clear, here's what my net margin is, but that's not the gross margin. The gross margin is what's left over after you have delivered the product or service, and what you still have left to pay for infrastructure, to pay off loans on the balance sheet, to reward shareholders, and to build cash reserves. You have to understand your gross margin as a percentage so that you can understand how the commitment to that gross margin in terms of dollars will grow as you grow the business, and complementary, the cost of goods sold, how much more money you're going to have to support the growth of additional revenue by delivering on the promises you're making to your customers without then going down to the infrastructure side and spending money on infrastructure. Most business owners, when I start working with them, do not have a clear picture of that in their books. Their books are not talking to them. And again, this is something we get set up very early on so that we can have factual conversations about what's working. If you want to get clear, go back, Dahlia. Get clear on ideal clients, vendors, employees, systems, and infrastructure. That is what's going to drive profit for your business. All right. So go ahead, Dahlia, next slide. From working in it to leading beyond it, this is the big one. The business can't grow beyond you if it relies on you. You want to take vacations, test outcomes, and expand time off. Time after time, I'll talk to a business owner and I'll say, when was the last vacation? A year ago. How long was it? A few days or a week and a half. That's not enough. It's not enough for you to recharge your batteries, and it's not enough for you to get out of the way and find out what's working and what needs support. If you say, if I don't do it now, I'll forget or lose track. This is another very classic entrepreneurial statement, and you have to use documentation so that you can lead with consistency and constancy. In the beginning, especially with our clients, they'll say, oh, it's a great idea. I gotta start working on this right now. And it's, nope, we got to put it down on paper. We got to figure out where it fits within the strategic plan. And then we got to figure out what else will have to happen to support it and lay it out in the list of tasks that have to happen between now and sometime in the future, including who's going to do it, not just you. Many business owners will say my team is loyal, but they don't know enough. As the business grows, you'll find that the business does require more knowledge, and you have to find out who wants to learn, who wants to grow, who wants to take on more. I'm working right now with business owners on these challenges, and we're finding great results by surveying employees. What do they want to learn? asking employees to step up, and then finding out who actually has the chops for it. And when you're looking at building a sale-ready business that doesn't need you and that can produce consistent profits, that's when you produce a wealth machine. This is what you want to be working on. And when you can remove yourself from being essential to the business, have consistent profitability, consistent growth, just a steady forward picture, this is what creates wealth for you, creates wealth for your company, your community, your employees, and also creates a business that is ultimately saleable, whether you choose to sell it to your employees, hang on to it to mine that wealth, or sell it to your family or to outsiders. This is what builds the real wealth. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So here's a recap slide. Before the shift and after the shift. I would focus you on the after shift. This is where you want to get to, and this is where that 180-degree shift comes into play. Again, I will say to you, people do not shift their skills from entrepreneur to business builder. 180-degree change without actually having support structures. They don't stay in the game long enough. They don't learn enough. They don't stick with it enough. They get frustrated and snap back to the old model. All kinds of things happen. But if you're going to actually be true about going for this shift, so data-driven, team outcomes, free time to lead strategically, built to run without you, and now you've got options, you've got freedom. I can grow, I can exit, or I can rest. I can do something else with my time. This actually is where you want to have your eye focused and get support to get yourself there. So with that slide, let's go to the next one. If I have now tempted you to think about what this could look like in your business, and you're starting to think about where you're stuck and where to start, please reach out. Tell us who you are, put it in the chat window, let us know. Dahlia will happily set up time or work with you to set up time so that we can talk. And we will do that, no pressure, no cost, just help you get clarity. We do a lot of contribution to the business community because we think that's just good for business. And I love talking to business owners about how their business goes to work. So please let us know who you are. And with that, Dahlia, let's talk about your questions. I've rambled on for a long time, and Dahlia is going to take questions from the audience and see if we can stump Andy. And while she's doing that, Dahlia, if you just put on the next slide. So think about the ways that we might be able to help you. We would love to talk to you about it. And Dahlia, what's our first question?
Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute myself.
That's okay.
Okay, so first question. We've grown by saying yes to everything. Now we're stretched too thin. How do we narrow our focus without losing revenue?
So I would start with articulating a set of goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 3 years, and then 1 year? And line those goals up and address all of the growth platforms of the business: sales, finance, marketing, operations, human resources, and leadership. What do we want to accomplish in each of those areas? And then work your way backwards from that to then assessing the decisions you're making against those goals. Will this customer, will this decision, will this vendor, will this product or service get us where we want to go? Will it contribute to those goals, or is it a distraction? And figure out what to put on hold, what to delete from the list, and what to work on maybe in a limited amount until you've tested it further.
Great, thank you. Our next question. I know I need to get out of the weeds, but every time I delegate, something falls through. How do I build trust in my team?
So delegation is essential, but it's a slippery slope. And you have to use communication, training, coaching to get to delegation. And in terms of communication, there are some tricks that you want to implement. So when you ask someone to do something, you then want to ask them to repeat back what it is that you asked them to do. Now, I'll have a lot of people that'll say, well, that just sounds crazy. It sounds like I'm treating them like a dummy or something. But I will say that we just had an example with a client. They had two crew leaders who were going to the same site to work. They were spent an hour traveling, got to the site, and started comparing notes, and then called home and said, we don't know what we want to do. Now, the team leaders had a briefing session before they left to say, go and get this done, but they're now sitting out in the field with crews with them doing nothing and costing the company money because it wasn't clear enough what was expected. Had they, in the beginning, actually stepped back and said, okay, let's talk about what we want to accomplish now. Tell us how you're going to do that. Tell us what you think you need to have with you so you can do it, so you don't have to send somebody running back an hour to get another tool. Tell us what you think you're going to accomplish in terms of outcomes. Let's talk it through. And while that does take time, it also contributes to clarity and it leads to the elimination of misunderstandings, like the one that we had where two guys leading two teams got to a site and had entirely different understandings of what was going to happen. The second thing that you can do then is you can ask people as they're working on it, whatever it is to check in and give you milestones. So if they're going to be out in the field working or they're going to be on their own working and they're going to be working on it for a while, ask them to check in a half an hour and let you know how things are going. Ask them to articulate what would they like to get accomplished in the first hour or the first couple of hours, and what else would they need that they don't already have to help them be more successful or speed it up. If you take the time to talk it through and communicate, then you're going to be halfway home to getting it done well. Then you have to look at, all right, does this person need any training in order to do the job? And if so, what can I do in terms of training them quickly and not confuse them? So a lot of times business owners will mix up training and coaching. So I need you to do this, and here's why, and because this, that, and the other thing will happen. And the message about here's what I want you to do gets lost because there's so much other information. When you train, be short, be specific, be very, very focused in what it is that you're asking someone to do. Only go on to the coaching, and here's why it's important, if they're actually engaged and they're starting to make headway with what you've asked them to do. If they don't know how to do it, go back to the basics of do it this way, do it because I told you. Let's go to the next question, Daya.
Okay, great, thank you. Our systems were built when we had 10 employees. Now we have 45 and everything feels like duct tape. Where do I even start?
Great. We do this a lot with our clients. We build organizational models. And so what we do, probably your organization chart has a bunch of people's names on it. And what we do is shift it from people's names to positions and clarify the ideal view of the business. So what are all the jobs that need to be done? What are the layers of that? So it can be first, second, third skill level. It can be a supervisor, manager, director, vice president, president, if you take the classic model, but helping to get clear as to how people fit together based on what you're expecting them to do. And usually, again, that runs along the lines lines of who's in the sales organization, who's in the finance organization, operations, marketing, HR, and then how do those organizations cross support each other. Once you've done that work, then we can actually go to the next level and we can go and profile the jobs that are in each area of the business, and we can actually build competency lists. So this is what they should be able to do at this level, and we can actually price it against standard baselines so we can see, are we paying enough, too much, too little for each position, and what do we do with anybody who doesn't fit in there, whether they're too low, too high, or just right.
Okay, great. Our next question. We're profitable but not scaling. How do I know if it's a strategy issue or a people problem?
If it's a strategy problem or what?
How do I know if it's a strategy problem or a people problem?
Okay. Now, my gut would be it's probably a little bit of both. And it's probably you're right in that mix of making the transition from stage 2 to stage 3. So you've got probably multitaskers or a bunch of multitaskers, people starting to become specialists, but not there yet. You don't have a clear org chart to show how that specialist model works. You may or may not have all of your goals clearly articulated. You probably are not meeting weekly to talk with your team about the goals and the what you're trying to accomplish. You may need next steps lists or task lists that you're building with your managers and that your managers are building with the people underneath them so you can see what's getting done and what's still left to do. I find a lot of times that when I step in, the people in the business are actually getting a lot more done than the owner is giving them credit for it. They just don't have a good way of recognizing it. And then also you may need a financial model, a dashboard to see how the finances of the business are playing up, not just in terms of revenue or profit, but how things interlink. What's your revenue per full-time equivalent, or how much revenue do you have, or cash in the bank do you have relative to the risks that you're taking? How much do you need to support the growth of the business? How much do you need to support getting out of debt? How are you doing at building up cash reserves? There are lots of questions, and that's where it gets complicated trying to make this transition from stage 2 to stage 3. And that's where business owners get really frustrated and just go, that's it, I'll just go back to what I know. And that's where they get really stuck. Pushing forward makes a new set of skills. That means you need teachers, you need structure, you need practice, you need to stay in the game long enough to embed it in a new way.
Okay, great. And I think this will be our last question. I think it's a great question to end on. They're asking, I'm the bottleneck. I approve everything, but if I step back, I'm afraid things will fall apart. What do I do?
Well, first thing I would say is you can't live in fear. So set it aside, set the fear aside and say, I'm going to practice. And I'm going to practice so that I can get good at learning how to get out of being the bottleneck. And you can do this in lots of different ways. As you're showing up at the business every day, you can say to your people, I'm not an information bureau. So you come to me for an answer. You tell me what you think we ought to do. You can put down on paper, this is what I want to accomplish this week, and hand it out, and then ask people, where do you see yourselves fitting into that? And you can have a meeting to discuss that, either group or individual. As you work on backing out, take a day off, take a morning off, take an afternoon off, and come back and see what worked and what didn't. And the things that didn't work, instead of the temptation, I got to step in and fix it, which is the normal entrepreneurial response, instead take the business builder response. So pull in the people that were involved, ask them to explain what happened, what went wrong, and then ask them to tell you what they want to do differently next time. But then you also have to be prepared to hold them accountable. It is okay for for people to make a mistake. It is not okay to continually repeat the same mistakes. That is what gets businesses in trouble. It's what gets people in trouble. You have to learn to hold your people accountable for getting smarter, for figuring out how to do more and how to perform at a higher level. And it comes from just one success and then a building block. I think the other thing that I also encourage business owners to use is a model called, you're probably going to laugh, nice hat, you suck, nice shoes. So when giving people feedback, you want to say to them something positive. If you come at somebody and you say, look, this is just all screwed up, they're going to freeze. They're going to not want to work with you. But if you come at them and say, look, here's something I see that you're doing well, then here's a breakdown that I saw, let's talk about it. And you talk it through, and then you come back and say, but I have confidence that you can tackle this, that you can get better at this, as long as you show me what you can do, because I have seen you get better at other things. So nice hat, you suck, nice shoes. Some people have said they've learned that model as an Oreo sandwich. Either way, what you have to do is you have to work with people and then find out who's up for working with you. Last slide. Please come and think about coming to book a free strategy session. Use the link in the chat. Please follow us on LinkedIn. Subscribe to our newsletters. You'll get updates. Let us know you'd like to get newsletters. We send them out periodically. You'll get interesting information on what's going on relevant to being the owner of a privately held business, the entrepreneurial journey. And you built the business. Now let's help you lead it forward. We'd love to talk to you. And thank you all today for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dahlia.